Jackie Baker.
Jen Sylvester.
Baker. It's been a hot mitten, man.
It's been too damn long, my friend. What the heck?
We take a little sabbatical, man. We take a little sabbatical because it was just the last month has been cray.
I know.
Right?
What the heck? This summer, summer's just
Was it summer?
It's summertime. Did you know that, Jen? Yeah.
No,
It's July.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. I didn't know it was summer. But you know what time I know it is?
Tell me.
It's time for Reddit Real Estate Disasters. So, Jackie, I missed your stories.
I miss like being here with you and sharing these stories. I mean, this is God.
And you know what? The real estate world does not disappoint. There has been so much that has happened over the last month, like just in the real estate industry. Never mind Reddit, the world of Reddit. Like it's just when you like, who is it? Our dear friend said, I heard the other day, said, I yearn for precedented times.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of unprecedented times. I'm so sick of it. I want to be, you know what? I just want to wake up in the morning and have it a boring day.
Yes.
I just want to have a boring day where just business as usual, nothing's like, you turn on the news, you're like, oh, it's going to be sunny. And you go to the news station, you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. The traffic jam, whatever.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 whatever. Go on, oh, I get a real estate business. All right. Somebody wants to buy, somebody wants to sell, whatever. No. It's like this emergency and that new thing and news flash and blah, 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 blah. Good.
Oh my God.
Lord.
Yes.
Lord.
Yes. It's been challenging. It's been a challenging summer, my friend, but
yes,
here we are. But the good thing is Reddit does not disappoint. Oh my gosh. I've never seen so many stories out there nowadays. Looks like people are buying or just recently closed, and now they're uncovering a lot of stuff and a lot of problems. So it's got some good stuff for you today.
I will say that, it's, with the changes in our industry, and and whatnot that are coming with all the commission stuff and things that'll be continually changing over the next probably a couple of years, right? I don't think we're gonna have a shortage of Reddit stories because there's so much misinformation being dealt in the media, and the consumers are misinterpreting the misinformation, and they're not, and it's like, we do our level best to try to get the facts out and all the things, but it's just like people are just going to do what they do. It's a human condition. It's a human condition. And it's like, all right, well, it gives us more to talk about on this podcast.
Exactly. We may become the next Two Hot Takes. That podcast. They do read all the Reddit stories. We might become the next one with all the stories that are going to be coming out. I'm telling you.
We could totally add that to our repertoire here of like, who's the asshole? We could totally do that.
Oh yeah.
So we could do that. We should do that. We should do a vote, like a poll or something.
You know what? I think we should.
We should do that. We should be like,
we should definitely do that
to the podcast.
For sure. Yep, for sure. Because buckle up. We're going to be having a lot of those stories. I just know it.
Of course, you know who it's going to be every time. Almost. Maybe not. We'll see. Because the agent on these stories gets a lot of the... But we'll see. We'll see. Because I don't know. With all the commission stuff, it's a lot of people are like, I don't want to use an agent now. So I'm going to go it alone. I think there's going to be a lot of stories.
I know. There will be. Yeah. There will be. There's going to be a lot of regrets. A lot of mistakes are going to be made. And
because it's not a straight line.
People are in for a rude awakening. So
yes, it's not. If only it were, hey, I want to buy that house. Hey, Mr. Seller, is it in good condition? Oh yes, Mr. Buyer, it's in great condition. Great. Here's my money. Great. Here's the keys. Okay. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. If only.
If only. If only.
But
No way.
alas,
No.
alas, it's not, which brings us to the first story, so let's
Okay. I got some good ones. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right. This one was just posted today.
Hot, you know what? That's a hot off the
Hot
presses
off the
situation.
Reddit presses. You ready? Okay. The title is Seller Did Not Disclose Easement and Covered Stains on Carpet with Rug. Yeah. Okay. I'm a first time home buyer and found a couple of things that will delay our closing date and unsure if I should proceed. Found out 2 weeks prior to original closing date that a portion of the garage slash home is encroaching on a 20-foot utility easement. The seller stated they were unaware of easement. There was the single owners. So this was only brought to my attention when attempting to get a clean title 2 weeks prior to closing. A surveyor is scheduled next week. On a much smaller scale, sellers indicated there was no damage slash stains to the carpet slash flooring per disclosure, but when I just lifted up the side of a decorative rug on the carpet, a very obvious pet or bleach stain, they did not have pets per the disclosure. Regarding the carpet, it bothered me more that they didn't disclose it. Regarding the easement, why the heck would a 2003 home be built on an easement? The sellers did not build any add-ons, and the easement per plat drawings cuts into garage and 10 inches into home. The last odd
What?
thing was that I scheduled the inspection plus the radon test the first week per the 7-day contingency. They called the inspector to cancel until the following week, which would have been too late to back out. The inspector was great and got it done on the weekend, but given these three things, I'm beginning to wonder if there are more hidden surprises. Even if the surveyor finds the easement not cut directly into the home, there is landscaping and AC unit that would be impacted. There is a possibility that the city would provide an exception if the home indeed encroaches on the easement. Question: this will be the largest purchase I will likely make. Since they did not disclose this, I can still get my earnest money back if I choose. Would you proceed or back out at this point? Okay. How how
Okay.
is there an easement through the house? How did that happen? What the heck? Really?
Did they say what kind of what did they
Electri
say?
Electricity? Hold on a second. Um, hold on. Oh, no, wait. Unaware of easement. No, it didn't say.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Yep.
Where the heck did they where the heck were they able what state were they able to build a house, get approval from the building department to build a house with an
With
easement?
an easement.
How? In this day and age?
How did
In
that
this day and
happen?
age?
Well, somebody knew somebody at the building department and, and the
Mhm.
building department looked the other way in the town and let the person build the house. So there's a
I
little bit of
would
shady stuff going on there.
I would not buy that house.
No, I
I would
wouldn't
not buy
either.
that house
No.
because, the thing is you can have an easement on your property. I mean, easement basically means that the person, the company or the person that's on that easement has a right to typically has a right to access that piece of property anytime they choose. And if it's a utility easement, right? If it's a
Yeah.
utility easement, electrical easement, gas easement, that means that they could at any given time, you know, drive right through it. Like,
Mhm.
figuratively, right?
Yeah.
You could drive right
No, they
through that
can.
easement because it's usually access to other lines, other gas lines, other electrical lines or whatever. My parents actually have an easement on the edge of their property, um, that goes down to the pond because in an emergency and in the 40 years they've lived in that house, it's never been used. But in an emergency, a fire truck could use the pond behind the house as a source of water for the neighborhood to put out a fire.
Right.
They could have it has never been like there's a fence up, like, I mean, but if the fire department needed access, they would tear through the fence. And they know
Right.
that, but it's a fence
Yep.
and not a house. Like
Yes.
the town that they could make them tear down that garage. You know, I mean, the only thing is
I
when
know.
it depends on what kind of easement it is, okay? Because okay, so on the flip side, if it's not a utility easement, like up here in the Northeast, we have a lot of old cart path easements, easements
Mhm.
that are way like dated, and the title companies come up with it and they find it, but they're so old that they almost don't, they're just on paper. They're on
Mhm.
paper. There's nobody there to enforce it. Nobody's going to use it. Nobody's going to do anything with it. It's just on paper. Some attorney, they haven't gone through the legal requirements to take it off, to make it go away, right?
Right.
So maybe it's like that. It could be less of a big deal than it depends on what kind of easement it is would depend on whether I'd walk away or not. I
Yeah.
need to kind of
It
easement.
does say it's encroaching a 20-foot utility easement. So, yeah, it is utilities.
Okay. All right.
I feel
So,
but
jeez,
I would totally walk away from that. And it was built in
100%.
2003. Like, who like I said, the builder talked to somebody at the town and got permission to build, didn't go through the proper channels to
Wait,
get
hold on.
what?
Can builders be shady?
No.
Is is that a thing?
There it is. There's the sound effects. Thank you. Thank you, Chad.
I mean,
Um,
seriously,
yeah,
like, um,
that's listen, you know me with my whole, like, I look at everything and I'm like, I'm suspicious of everything, and I'm like, that screams
mhm,
to me, the builder knew somebody at the town, and
yep,
they well, look, my father was a contractor, and he used to tell me stories of things that he witnessed of, like, other builders and contractors and crap that they would do. So, like, I'm very alert to that stuff, like,
yep.
I see the red flags. So, anyway.
Well, you know what? And especially, 2003, that was right as the market was taking off. That was, like, as the market was getting
Yeah.
really ramped up, right? So
Mhm.
03, 04, 05
Yep.
were unprecedented times
Tons. Oh my god.
because the time, market went absolutely bonkers before the bottom fell out,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that was during a time when you had a serious now think about this. You had serious shadiness going on at banks.
Mhm.
Serious shadiness. So,
Oh, yeah.
the reality is like, okay, so that builder maybe had to get a loan to build that property,
Yeah.
right? And or maybe the seller likely bought the property from the builder and did like a builder package, and maybe the builder's like, "Oh, I got you covered with the loan. I got you covered, whatever." And um somebody overlooked it. They paid somebody off.
Mhm.
They paid somebody off or something to overlook it, just to get it through, maybe. I don't know. I'm
Right.
tinfoil hatting it here,
Y
but
yeah, no,
still,
but that's that
during
more
that
than that's
time, there's some
probably what
shady stuff
happened.
going
No,
on.
but listen,
Totally.
Jen, that was the reality back then. That was your reality.
Yep,
All that shady crap was going on with all the banks and stuff, so of course, you
yep.
know, that would have happened with the town, where they allowed that to happen. Yeah, so for this buyer, walk away. I'd be running away. Run away.
Well, so here's the other thing too, that kinda leads to the shadiness, like, okay, so on the disclosure, right? So they
Mhm.
had stains on the carpet, which stains on the carpet, like, it's not right, but that being said, if they signed a disclosure, like,
Uh-huh.
that's enforceable in a
Yeah.
court of law, like, you could take that seller to court after the fact, after you
Yep.
own it, and take that piece of paper and say, "Hey, you signed something, you said that there were no stains, or you sold a house that had stains on it, on the carpet." You could
Mhm.
force the seller to reimburse you for replacing the flooring.
Right.
But go through all that trouble, and then the last part about the what was the radon or something like that? It
Yeah, about
was,
the inspection, they said, I'm just reading, I was just looking at that. They were supposed to have the inspection done, the first week so they had a 7-day contingency from the time they, when it's a contract, but the sellers called the inspector to cancel until the following week, which would have made it too late for the buyer to back out. But he said the inspector was great and got it done on the weekend. But given the so basically they're saying that, they put off the inspection, but it was still done within the allotted time period they were supposed to get it done. But all they say here, the inspector was great and got it done on the weekend. But given these three things, I'm beginning to wonder if there are more hidden surprises. Yeah. That's the whole easement thing. That just, I'd be running away because of that.
Unfortunately, I think she needs to back out of this deal. I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
I'd be running away.
I think she needs to run away.
I'd be running away from that. Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
100%.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's geez.
Yeah. Isn't that a good one?
That was a good one. That's just, yeah.
Have you ever? I've never heard of that, of an easement going through somebody's house.
Well, I think that in our neck of the woods, the attorneys, like, I mean, you can't, not to be crude, but you can't like fart the wrong way, or the attorneys will be like, the title company like, now wait a minute. In the deed, it says you can only fart on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you start farting on Wednesday. So we cannot approve this deed. I'm sorry, we cannot approve this. It's like, right?
I
Like, they
know.
are so strict. You can't even do the smallest thing. Like I had a situation literally last week with new construction.
Yeah.
Okay. My folks were buying in a 55 plus community. Now this is a community, with new construction, when you have multiple units, more than say 10 units, the builder will build the homes. But typically when it comes to the finish work, the landscaping, they'll maybe put some bushes in, but when they'll wait on the hydro seeding, right? They'll wait until they have 3 or 4 or 5. They'll do it in a batch. Because it's just cost effective rather than having the hydro seed company come in for one house. Doesn't make any sense. And so it's in the, it's in the requirements. It comes in the package. Of course they're going to do it, especially because it's an HOA. Of course they're going to do it. It's an HOA. But it doesn't get done prior to closing. Like that's pretty much my experience when it comes to like the hydro seeding. If it's a subdivision, right? One property, different story, but if it's multiple, well, this we had a situation where the bank wasn't going to approve the loan because of that, because they were so nitpicky. They were so nitpicky because it was in the building requirements, and it was in the contract that the hydro seeding would be done, that the grass would be in. And we had to jump through hoops to get a special addendum signed.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. We had a special addendum signed to have that removed from the agreement in order to close on time. And this happened like a couple days before closing. That's
the best. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
So it was just, that's how nitpicky it is and how hard it is. Like, I feel like wherever she's at, it's not, I would be shocked if it's up here in the Northeast. But
yep. So speaking of, you're talking about with the banks, not approving loans, that this next story has to do with something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look at that. We do share a brain.
We do.
In that segue.
See, you knew I was gonna go down this path today.
I was sending telepathy from Massachusetts to New Jersey through the camera.
Always. All right. All right, my dear. So it says here, first time homebuyer nightmare. Okay. This is actually from about a year ago, but I thought this is an interesting one. I and my wife had an accepted offer on a lovely ranch home. Due to foundation issues, our loan officer denied the loan. Thus, we triggered a funding contingency. The sellers are refusing to sign a mutual release, and as such, we will, according to our realtor, need to include a contingency on future offers that we make on other homes until such time as the matter is resolved. Seller's agent has also made multiple attempts to access personal information, credit score, and other financial information that we did not include intentionally in our communication to her, even though they were part of the credit union's denial of our loan. We have been advised by both our loan officer and agent that this information is not required. This has become an absolute nightmare for us, and we are concerned about both our earnest money and making it difficult or impossible to buy any other home. Do we need to resort to litigation? Is there any kind of regulatory body that we can report this realtor to? Additional information. Foundation issues were noted on a home inspection we paid for and were confirmed and upgraded by a reputable foundation company representative that the seller's agent selected. An estimate was not received due to a large difference in cost depending on the verdict of a structural engineer as of the method of repair, meaning either excavation or internal bracing. But the problem was confirmed, worse than our home inspector noted, by the foundation company. So, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, so can you just, dial back for a second,
Sure.
about the funding contingency? So they had I was a little you lost me a little bit on between the foundation issue and then what
So,
the
so
what
the
they
loan, so they're telling them there's a funding contingency, meaning that, so when you're saying funding contingency, I'm thinking, did they tell them that they were not getting a loan, they're doing cash, and now they are getting, they can't buy the house without the loan? Like, I don't know, I'm confused about that. But this
they
part, the
backed
sellers
out. They
what?
backed out of the deal, so they backed out, right?
They supposedly,
She
what they're
said they
saying is the sellers are refusing to sign a mutual release, as such as we will need to include a contingency on any future offers we make on any other homes until such time as the matter is resolved.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
so
I
what that
get you.
means
So
is they're still
they're
there's
okay, I
if
get
they're still obligated to buy this house, is that's what they're saying. So if they go and buy some,
yeah,
right, they can't
yep.
go and buy something else because they're still
So yeah, so when, you try to buy a house, you you end up backing out, and while you're waiting for the seller for that document, you need a document that the offer or the purchase agreement is a signed agreement by all parties. It's legally binding, right? In order to back out of that and enter into another contract, you need a fully signed release, right? A
correct.
release of contract, which basically gets both parties legally released from that original contract, right? They
Correct.
can't enter into. So what a lot of buyers will do is they'll say, okay, because of time, if another property comes on the market that they want to jump on, they'll need to put a condition in that offer saying, hey, buyer seller number two, we want to buy your house, but it's contingent on the release from our prior deal being signed.
Right.
Stinks.
Yes.
Which really stinks. Why is the seller refusing to sign?
Because when it gets the additional information, it looks like they confirmed an upgrade. Yeah, so they confirmed it and they upgraded by a reputable foundation company representative that the seller's agent selected. So it sounds like the foundation issue was resolved or could be resolved. So
But
yeah,
they're backing out because
the lender is denying the loan
the lender's denying the loan, and the
because
lender
of the foundation issues. So, you know how you were saying, like, everything has to be perfect and up on the up and up? So it sounds like maybe
is
the issue's not completely resolved.
So it's probably what sounds like is the seller's agent is probably coaching the seller and saying, "Hey, listen, the buyer's lender, they're not trying to make it work. That because they're saying there are foundation issues, but there's not foundation issues. The foundation issues were resolved. The lender doesn't is they're not the buyers aren't trying to get that information to the lender, and that's
Right.
probably why they're pushing to get it to try to keep the buyers in the contract.
Mhm. Right.
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, that's what
Yeah.
I think is
I think that is what's going on. I'm just reading through the other comments here, but look, there's people, like, commenting about it.
mm,
Uh, Nothing. Somebody said, "I'm not sure this is a problem with the realtor or seller. If they are an actual realtor, you can reach out to the local board of realtors to file an ethics complaint. It sounds like seller non-disclosure issue to me, which may be a civil suit, but check back with the real estate attorney." This person, the OP says, filed an ethics complaint regarding financial issues. Got a consult from real estate attorney, which resolved the other issue. I'm confused. Um,
well, the seller's
um,
agent has no right to private financial information of the buyer.
No, they don't. They
He
don't. So totally, that they should file a complaint
That's
100%
that is
there.
a problem. Yep,
That's a
that's a
big
seller's agent
problem.
that doesn't know what they're doing
No.
because they they absolutely need to provide a letter from, the buyers need to provide a letter from the mortgage company detailing why the buyers are getting denied, but the buyer's financial condition, circumstance and all that, that's not their
No.
business. They're not entitled to that information.
Nope.
But the seller's agent is fishing and doesn't.
Yep.
Nope, they don't. No, no, no. You
No,
don't.
no, can't do that.
Nope, you can't do that.
Can't do
None of
that.
your business. None of
All
your
right.
business. Per the contract, it says we can't. We don't want to buy it. Then, boom. And let's be honest, Jackie. As a buyer, from a buyer's perspective, a buyer holds the power in a real estate transaction. Period. Unfortunately for sellers, the buyer holds the power. Meaning,
Yep.
like how have you had a situation before where the buyers are like, I didn't realize the taxes were so high. I didn't realize whatever. And I've had lenders tell me, like, we can stretch this to make it unaffordable, quote, unaffordable to the buyer, for in the best interest of the buyer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can do that.
Yes, they can.
They can make it work, and they don't have to provide proof. They don't need a letter from the
Just a
mortgage.
letter.
Mortgage rep can't be like they have their own lending requirements. They can't just make stuff up. But it's not hard to make someone all of a sudden in this day and age is not hard.
Yep.
Because a lot of, especially first-time home buyers, are riding the line so closely,
Yep.
So, I don't know. A foundation issue, though, I'm sorry. I don't do foundation issues.
No, me either.
That holds up the house, man.
I know. That's one I'd be running away from too. I would
That
not
still
be.
scares me because, like,
No,
other
thank
stuff
you.
you can fix.
No.
Foundation?
Nope. No, thanks. All right. So let's go on to another recent
complicated one.
I know that was well, they're not all gonna be easy, Jen. We gotta use our brains sometimes.
But really, Jackie, real estate transactions should be easy. That's what
Yeah, right.
Why do they have to be so complicated?
I know.
This should be just easy,
I know.
I give you the money, you give me the keys.
No, and it's just gonna get harder. I'm just
Alas.
Anyway.
Well, humans are involved. If they took humans out of the equation,
what are you gonna do? It's the nature
of
our
business. Sold the
business.
house and a robot bought the house, then it would probably be a lot smoother.
Probably.
If you think about it, you're a buyer and you tell the AI robot, I want to spend this much money in this criteria in this area, and this is what I want. And the robot buyer goes out, finds a house, and then handles the whole thing. And the robot seller does the same thing. Take the human element, all the emotion, the love of the house, all the negotiation, take it right out of it. Then now you have no issues. And then you have buyers that are unhappy with the house they got and sellers that are unhappy with the price they got and terms they got and all the things.
Yep.
So,
yep. That might be the way to go.
Somebody told me on one of my videos, they said that buying a house should be like buying a car. And I went, oh, honey. If only Carvana, Housevana.
Housevana. That's it. That's what we're going to do, Jen. We're going to start Housevana. We're going to be the next Carvana.
There we go. We're going to coin that right now. We're copywriting that tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Deliver. How do you do that? Deliver the house in the back of a truck? Modular homes. Oh, that's a modular home company. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
This is a deal. This is an idea.
I love when ideas are born. We should definitely run with that one.
I see it now. I see it now. Houses rolling in on a big Housevana truck. Oh man.
All right.
In my mind. Anyhow.
All right. You want the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
This is another one just hot off the Reddit press. This is from today, a mere 6 hours ago. Okay. So this title is Offered on a House, Pulled Out on Final Walkthrough. This is going to be a good one.
Pulled out on
the final walkthrough.
I'm not going to say anything about that reference right now. but that's because this is not a children's show. So,
Really? Okay.
anyhow, who puts the titles on these things?
I know. I don't know. They're not
A little
thinking.
bit.
Anyway.
Getting a little spicy. Got to keep it interesting.
Yes, Jen, we're getting a little too spicy here. All right.
All right.
All right. Here we go. I was going through the process of buying a small home for my parents. When we inspected, I found water damage on the ceiling. The sellers supposedly had this fixed and had the roof repaired. In retrospect, I'm pretty sure they just painted over the ceiling damage. We were really interested in the property because of its location and other features, so I was going to go forward with the purchase. I went for the final walkthrough, and the ceiling had new water damage in different places. I had a roofing company check, and they recommended a full replacement due to significant age and damage. I told them I wanted to negotiate having a new roof placed, and I was willing to include the cost in the mortgage loan or come up with the difference if it didn't appraise. Sellers were adamant that the roof was perfectly fine and they wouldn't replace it or lower the sales price. I had to pull out of the deal at the literal last minute as I was afraid I'd be stuck replacing the roof and paying full price for the house, easily a $20,000 difference. We pulled out, got our earnest money back because contingency of fixing the roof leak was clearly not met, with photos to prove. Now, fast forward to 3 weeks later, and I noticed they're replacing the entire roof. We live nearby and drive past the property frequently going to work. I guess the house kept getting new water damage. It's still listed for sale. This is super frustrating to me as I really wanted that property and they would not negotiate the roof. Now they've changed it on their own dime. Anyone ever had this happen?
You know what I'd do?
Tell me. What would you do?
I would go back and make a lower offer.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yep.
That's what I would do because the longer a house sits on the market,
Yep.
the more it devalues. Period.
Yep.
The longer it sits on the market, a house that your best chance at getting at or above full price, right, is the first 2 weeks of the house going on the market.
Yep.
And the house, anytime past that 14 days, that gap between the list price and the sale price gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because interest wanes and people think it's stigmatized and all the things, right?
Yep.
And so the sellers were idiots for letting that buyer go. I'm not even going to comment about the age.
Stupid. The sellers were dumb. You end up replacing it anyway, and the house is still sitting.
And it could be if okay. So if we were to like look at this from all angles, I mean, how many situations have you seen where a buyer's emotions get in the way? A buyer's emotions, seller's emotions get in the way of negotiations. A heated buyer turns off the seller, even though it makes no pragmatic sense, none whatsoever. But the sellers get ticked off at the buyers because of their attitude, of their timing, or how they asked, or that kind of stuff. Like, how many times has an agent copied and pasted a buyer's requests and sent it to a seller, and without editing it, right? Without editing it. And how that buyer asked for said request insulted the seller. Like, that's part of our job, is to filter that stuff.
Yes.
It's to take the emotion out of the equation entirely. So the buyer may be pissed off, the seller may be pissed off, but they don't know that each other is pissed off. Right. They don't know. You have a buyer agent that is completely removed, is level-headed, is just like indifferent to the situation because it's not their house they're buying. The seller agent on the same side, and the two parties come to a mutual agreement. But when when that energy transfers, that's when stupid stuff happens.
Yep.
Right. And I think that sounds like this may have happened on this transaction.
Yeah.
Because it's solar. I mean, imagine this. You go to the final walkthrough, you go through 6 weeks of home inspection and, appraisals and the god-awful process of getting a mortgage, and they want everything but your firstborn to get the mortgage. You go through that 6 weeks, and during that 6 weeks, you're not looking for another house. Like, this is the house, right? You're locked in. And then at the final hour, you find out that the seller is not being truthful with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the seller and you're like, listen, and this guy, like wanted to, like, did I hear you correctly? He was actually willing to pay for the roof, the buyer.
Yeah.
You
Hold on
said
a
he
minute.
was willing to pay for the roof and put it in his mortgage or something, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now the buyer has every right to be super irritated and whatever, and the
Mm-hmm.
seller got wind of it. And
Yep.
maybe the seller's pig-headed. Maybe the seller's pig-headed and it's just like, well, and I don't understand. Usually when the seller's pig-headed is because they don't understand. And again, the agent's job is to help them understand the ramifications of their actions,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
guess what? Ramifications are, I would go back. You know what I would probably do is I'd probably, okay, this is what I do. This is the strategy. This is what I would tell my client. I would go to an attorney and I would set up real quick. I would set up an account, like an S corp or an LLC or something that, whatever's the quickest way, thing to set up in your state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd make an offer through that. I'd set up a trust. I'd set up something that you could make an offer that entity would own the property. You
Okay.
can transfer it afterwards, right?
Right.
Um, I would make it so that I would make an offer, or even make an offer without the name of the buyer on the offer. You don't have to put the name of the buyer on the offer, right? Make an offer just without the buyer's name on it, and then get it accepted. And now you've got an accepted offer with this buyer
Mm-hmm.
that had it under contract before, but you're probably going to get a better price. I don't
Good
know. I'm
point.
pretty sure there's a way to negotiate to finagle that.
There, yeah, I think the LLC would probably be the smarter way to go about it. Um, you
Just
know,
naming the LLC takes time to get approved through the state.
true, but if you're gonna do that, you don't want the guy knowing it's you. Um, but talking about like emotions and all that stuff and how they have an impact on the sale, you and I have talked about this, and I don't think I brought it up here on the podcast yet, but there was a lawsuit. I told you about this, a lawsuit regarding an agent, a buyer agent that was using showing time, the app, that we use to schedule
Yes. Yep.
showings. And they got, so after we showed the house, right, you get a notification back asking for feedback. So the buyer agent gave negative feedback, not really bad, but just gave some, negative feedback about the house,
Okay.
what the buyers thought. They ended up getting the offer accepted. And then when the seller had heard about the feedback that they had given about the house originally, got all bent out of shape and made life difficult for them and wouldn't negotiate on certain things on the
Mm.
house. They closed on the house. Now those buyers turned around and sued their buyer's agent for putting that feedback and showing time because they felt that hurt them with
Oh my
getting a better
god.
deal on the house.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah,
Mm.
like, what?
Yikes.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
So, no, if I'm the listing agent, I would, look, I give we share the feedback. We get feedback from the agents. We share that.
right.
But then I'm the listing agent. I'd be like, you don't take it personal. This is just through the eyes of the buyer. They're not like nitpicking or saying anything bad about you. These are things
It's
that
through the eyes
they
of the
don't like about the
buyer
house.
agent. It's the
What's that,
buyer
Jen?
agent. I said it's through the eyes of the buyer. So it's the buyer agent's interpretation. Like, so in other words, like, I would put the blame on the buyer agent, like, and take the blame off the buyers. You know what I mean? Like, I would even, if I
Oh
was the
yeah,
buyer's
yeah,
agent,
yeah.
I'd be like,
Yes.
just blame it on me. Just blame it on me because I want
Right.
and get it off of the buyer so they can get the house.
But a lot of times,
I'll take
Jen,
the heat for it. I don't care.
but on that showing time thing though, it'll say, do your buyers feel the price is right? Is it too high, too low? And it's what is the feedback? So that's just coming from the buyers. I mean, I get feedback all the time in my listings and they'll say, bedrooms are too small for them, or they didn't like, the location was not good or whatever.
Right.
It was coming from the buyers. So yeah, I don't
That's
know.
crazy.
That's
That's an
yeah.
example. That's exactly what we're talking about here, though.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're talking about, the power of, the emotional element,
Yeah.
and I mean, and I know we've talked about what's going on, ad nauseum with the National Association of Realtors, the commission upheaval and all the things. Oh my goodness, I did a video
Mhm.
on it, and then people are in an uproar like, why do we need agents? Why do we need agents? We can do it ourselves. We can hire an attorney and all the things. Well, is it possible? Yeah, 100%. You could. There's a lot of things you can do. I'm sure that if I read enough books, if I watched enough videos, I could probably rebuild the engine in my car.
Yep.
Doesn't mean I should. Doesn't mean I should. If I studied
Right.
hard enough, I could do it. Doesn't mean I should.
Right.
But the thing that they're missing, the point that they're missing is when you are doing the thing, when you are the buyer and you're negotiating on your behalf, I don't care how uh, um, pragmatic you are, how analytical you are, that engineer brain, that analytic brain, that detailed, organized person.
Mhm.
Okay, how good of a negotiator you are.
Mhm.
Okay, if this is a house you're going to live in, there's going to be an emotional element when you negotiate.
Yeah.
It's impossible not to. And when you have two parties that have an emotional connection, all it takes is the littlest reference. The littlest reference. Look how much
Yep.
on any YouTube video on any subject, and people go sideways.
Yeah.
And it's a YouTube video. It's a YouTube video. Why people are like, they're just going to tell you the way it is. They're going to tell you how they feel. You don't
Exactly.
think that's going to happen between a buyer and a seller? You don't think that they'll be like, hey, listen, I don't know what the problem is here, but I think this is a reasonable offer. And the seller's going to be like, okay, so I'm not interpreting that any way you're intending for me to interpret it. Like, I'm
Yep.
insulted. This is my
Right.
home. I spent a lot of time updating this house, and I spent a
Mhm.
lot of time doing all the things I did. How dare you
Oh, I
attribute
know.
to that?
Yeah,
How
or
dare you?
the other one, like,
Right?
I spent so much money updating, I put all this money into it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think it's dangerous, and for every naysayer out there that says, "Oh, real estate agents are, a dying breed." They're like, travel agents. Um,
Mhm.
yes, there's emotion when you deal with a travel agent because 'cause you're, like, hopefully going on vacation and you're going to a happy place, but you're not negotiating with a travel agent like you are with a buyer and seller.
Right.
There's no, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's entirely different.
It
So, I
is.
think there will be a thinning. I hope to God there's a thinning of the herd. I think there absolutely will be a huge thinning of the herd in the
It's
next.
already started. It started here in New
It's already
Jersey.
started.
We've already lost I think we've already lost, like, 6,000 agents here in New Jersey.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I
Really.
know,
No, I
isn't
mean,
it?
it's and I don't mean from a competitive standpoint, I mean from, like, a cooperation standpoint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of business and opportunities to go around and all the things, but, I am so tired of the agents that just don't know, uneducated and not willing to handle those emotions of the buyers and the sellers.
Yeah.
And so I think it's gonna become way more, um, a professional
Yep.
as is what it is, but I don't think it's gonna be ever, 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 unnecessary. Until a buyer and a seller are out of the equation, it's always gonna be necessary,
Mhm.
always,
It
because
is.
people, and it's even worse now than it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. People
Mhm.
are way more emotional, right? Like,
Yep. Oh my god, these days, it's
my and
so
I'm speaking from
emotional.
experience, like, hello, I've been in this business since 1996,
Yep.
and, I was a newbie in the '90s, but even the early 2000s, people were not as emotional as they are now. It
Mm-mm.
was not the
No,
complications and all the things that we deal with now. It's not on every transaction, but it's oh boy,
it's very
no,
emotional. It is, 'cause,
very
it's a
emotional.
lot of money, and people are going through jumping through hoops to try and
Mhm.
buy a house, and that yeah, I think for the on the buyer side, at least that's what I'm experiencing, there's just frustration, a lot of pent-up frustration and anger because the people just wanna get into a house, and,
They wanna get into a house, and they can't get what they want, meaning They save, save, save.
Mm-hmm.
They work their tail off. They sacrifice,
Yep.
get the down payment. They do everything they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're telling me it's not good enough.
Yep.
Now you tell me that you want more.
Yep.
I would be pissed off,
Yep.
right? It's just not, and then on the seller side, you've got a seller that worked their tail off,
Yep.
put a lot of sweat equity into the house, and they've got a buyer telling them you're overcharging, you don't deserve all the equity, you're making out like a bandit. You're being selfish.
Yeah.
You bought the house in whatever year, and now you're selling it for this, and you're not entitled to that amount of money.
Yep. Oh yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot from my buyers.
And it's sad. It's sad because if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be singing a different tune.
Exactly.
But so everybody's, you know,
Everybody's all
about
fired up. I
do you know
tell
what
you.
he needs?
I tell you, Jen.
They need some gummies or something. Everybody.
All right.
We just need to can we get an affiliate link for dispensaries or something? I'm joking. No joke though.
Yeah,
Like,
oh come on,
yeah,
you're not
like,
joking.
okay, we're gonna negotiate this, but first you have to eat this little piece of candy. And it's a special kind of candy. And then the buyer's gonna be like, you know what? Everything's cool, man.
Yeah,
You want to buy this house? Oh, 5,000 under asking. That's totally. I agree with you. It's totally reasonable.
totally.
Reasonable. The buyers will be like, "Are you sure, man? You worked really hard for this house. Are you sure you want to sell it to me for that?" But the seller's like, "Yeah, man. You know what? I get good vibes from you. I think you're gonna be great in this house." And the buyers are like, "You know what? I really like what you did with the paint. Yeah, like."
Yeah.
I think that if that happens, I think you and I'd be like out of business because then there'd be no friction.
I know, right?
Everybody would be
everybody
really,
get along great and go buy a house and
so here's the thing. So here's my prediction is the NAR and the DOJ is not threatening our jobs. The dispensaries are.
Look out, Jen. Look out. That's why they put those dispensaries in now. That's why they made it all legal. To take us out. All right. All right. You want another story?
It would be really cool if you had a story about homegrown stuff in the basement or something.
No, I haven't found one of those yet.
That would be a segue.
It would have been a good one, but not today. Sorry about that. All right. So this is another one about a home buyer wanting to back out before closing. Like this is like the theme this go around. It's pretty interesting. So first time home buyer hitting a big snag shortly before closing. I'm a first time home buyer a short bit away from closing on a property. Basically, all the paperwork has been done. Both seller and I have already signed the contract, and we're fast approaching closing. My agent has turned out to be a nightmare, and the seller has been obstinate, all the while seems to want to nickel and dime me at every turn. Today, I went again to measure out some parts of the apartment just to make sure the furnishings I'm planning would fit. And much to my shock and dismay, I realized that most of the rooms are significantly smaller than advertised on the floor plan on the listing, posted to MLS and every website where the place is advertised. Every room is about a foot shorter than advertised in both length and width. I'm still waiting for the appraisal report to come in, which should happen by Tuesday. I essentially want to know if I have any outs without losing my deposit, because the size differences are fairly significant overall. So number one, so do I have any reasonable outs that wouldn't lose out of my deposit? Number two, we're very close to closing. Do I have any recourse here? Is there a contingency for false advertisement? 3, what happens if the appraiser comes back and says the list price is accurate enough, but doesn't say anything about the room measurements or even confirms the MLS listing inaccurately? Thanks in advance. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a thing. This is a thing. And a lot of agents in our area put in the disclosures, buyer should verify measurements. Measurements not deemed not guaranteed or something like along those lines.
So we don't even do
They're
that. We don't even put square footage on MLS. We're not allowed to because a realtor got sued like 40
really
years ago. So we don't put square foot. It's in the tax record, but we can't publicly display it on MLS. Yeah.
wow. Wow,
Uh-huh.
wow, wow.
Uh-huh.
That's bonkers. That makes me
Right?
wanna not do that as well. Which,
Yep.
I mean, people wanna know for room sizes when they're shopping online, they wanna get a
Yeah.
general idea of the size of a room, but, if they didn't put that in there, I mean, they could get sued. 100%. They could sue, they could close and then sue if they're gonna close, but it sounds like she doesn't wanna close.
But don't you
Sounds like she
think
wants
the
to back out.
appraisal but
Well,
wouldn't that affect it though once he gets the proper
not
measurements of
the
each room?
measurements. Well, the appraiser doesn't do the measurements. The appraiser measures the outside of the house,
Well,
but around
it
here
sounds like this is a condo. This is a condo or an apartment because you said apartment, so it sounds like it's a
yeah,
condo,
but
right?
so
They
it's
don't
still the same. The appraiser does not measure the inside of the property. They don't measure the rooms. I don't ever recall an appraiser measuring the rooms.
I
Ever.
thought they did, but I could be
Because they
wrong.
don't have that on the report. It's not listed on the report.
Okay.
They measure the outside of the property,
Right. Okay.
but when it's a single family home and they put that measurement on the appraisal report, but the room sizes are not. So they do not verify the room sizes on MLS.
Right.
Never. So the
Yeah.
appraisal, the only thing that's going to be different is if the appraisal measurements, the total square footage inside, um, doesn't match for some reason, is different. But if it's a condo, the condo should have condo docs or master
Mhm.
deed, right?
Yep.
And that master deed will have the room measurements and it should have a layout floor plan of all the units.
Right.
And that layout floor plan, because that'll give you the exact amount of square footage. If it doesn't have the floor plan, it will have, at very, very least, it always has this, to the best of my knowledge. I'm just going by what I know here in Massachusetts, so I don't know what they do in
Mhm.
other states, but it's always, the deed always has the square footage of the condo,
Correct. Yep.
always. So they will verify that way. But the question is not whether it's gonna be approved, but whether it sounds like she wants to back out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does sound like it because she feels that it was totally misrepresented. So I wonder, you just said the original floor plan of from the condo docs. I wonder if that's what they advertised, if that's what they put if that or they did their own, those Matterhorn, whatever 3D
Metaphor.
pictures that they do, where you can do like you could like a 3D where you can walk through
Floor plan.
the floor plan.
Yep.
Thank you. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. I get you. I
Yeah.
get you. I actually use
Um,
an app for that. I don't even use that Matterport. I use an app that uses the LiDAR sensor,
okay.
and it literally technology is so cool, man. It scans the room. It literally, you
Really?
can see, like, what the square boxes of, like, it's all like it's on a science fiction movie. It as you walk along the base of the bottom, you know, 3 feet of the room, it
Mhm.
scans the entire room, furniture and all, and it
Really?
together as a small fee. I pay a small fee for it per house, but it gives
Wow.
me a floor plan, and I've double checked that. I have an electronic measure, infrared that, with a not infrared, but as a laser measurer. Within, like, an inch, it's accurate. It's scary. And it tells you exactly where the windows are, where the closets
Wow.
are. It's scary. So, it's pretty accurate in that
Yeah.
regard, but still, like, I think now you're talking value. That's a value to the seller, 'cause that's a marketing piece that helps promote the property,
Mhm.
right? From a seller to a buyer, but
Yeah.
I even the bottom of those forms, it says, Measurements not deemed guaranteed.
Right.
The bottom of the floor plan, they put the disclosure in there just in case it's an inch off. So,
Yep. I
I'm
think
questioning
I
it.
don't know what I think she is trying. Like I'm looking at this again.
I think she's fishing, to be honest. I don't know. I feel like if it was that big of a deal, wouldn't you have measured it at the home inspection?
That's what the comments are saying too. Like they say you don't buy a house to fit your furniture. You buy the
Yes.
furniture to fit the house. So that's what is going through my head. It's like, okay, um, yeah.
No,
So yeah,
because
it's like reading this again, I really think that she's looking to get out of it because
Mhm.
she's seeing false advertising. But
because people will look for ways to blame other people for their mistakes.
oh, listen to this. Somebody commented on this. It said most towns in my area measure the taxable square footage from the exterior, which includes the thickness of the walls. My house was 6-inch thick exterior walls and 4-inch thick interior walls. If the room dimensions add up to the taxable square footage of the house, then they might also be including the wall thickness in the dimensions.
It's very
Interesting. Interesting.
possible.
Yeah. So that could be it too. So she may not be. I don't think she's got any recourse, honestly. She can't go after them for that. I don't think so.
Mm,
I don't
I
think she
think it's
can.
gonna cost her more in attorney's fees than it would be to back out, but like I said, if she really wants to back out, she's gonna back out.
She could. But I don't know if she get a
She could
deposit back.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
They'd have to go to
the
court for it. Like I said, you want to pay
or
the extra in attorney fees to go to court to fight over your deposit? Like I don't know. I don't know.
or the brokerage could say, "Hey, we don't let's I don't wanna spend the time or the energy and the negative press to fight this. We'll just let her go." Just, let the
That
seller
too.
tell the seller to let her go and start
Yeah.
over, get a buyer in there so that the seller can move on,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yep.
she knows that and she's gonna leverage that,
Yep.
but it's fishy. Like, it doesn't like,
Yeah.
if I if the measurements were a foot off, that sounds excessive on a condo. That sounds excessive if you're I don't know.
But maybe not, like that person who commented saying that the taxable square footage could include the
Yeah,
thickness of
that's
the
true.
walls too, so
Right.
that could have been the case too, who knows? But
Why
yeah,
didn't she measure it if it was that big of a deal? Why didn't she measure it at the home
I
inspection?
would imagine or when you first saw the place,
Mhm.
but here's the other thing, if the floor plan's there, you're trusting what's out on the internet, right? They're putting the floor plan like, "Oh, this must be accurate," if they're putting it out there for the universe to see and to put it advertising it. She probably
You
trusted
know
that.
what? I don't trust that stuff. When I bought my house,
Mhm.
graph paper and a measuring tape, and I was here during the home inspection because I just not because I wanted to fit my furniture, just because I wanted to verify myself. I wanted to advocate for myself.
Yep.
And so I took my own
See?
measurements and put it on graph paper and did the whole geeky thing and figured out where
Yep.
my furniture was gonna go and all that stuff.
Yep.
So, but I advocated for myself. I feel like I don't know. I don't wanna sound like an old fogey, but I feel like advocating for yourself is becoming extinct as well in the sense of, like, it's everybody else's fault to give me the information.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like people are more and more it's just weird. It's just I
Yeah.
feel like people are more and more like, "Well, they should have given it to me. They should have done this, then they should have done that." And it's like, "Well, what how about doing, what you need to do on your own? Why don't you
Mhm.
just take things that matters in your own like, be responsible for your own stuff.
Exactly.
Take
Yep.
responsibility."
That's what people need to do. Like, and I've been saying this in my videos too. It's like buyers need to do their own due diligence nowadays. Like you're saying,
Yes.
they're just like they're blaming everybody else and say, you find that out for me. You tell me what I need to know. No, you need to find out what is going on. You need to know exactly what everything's going to cost when you buy this house. You need
And that
to know
doesn't
all these things.
and that doesn't mean totally disregard professionals of any sort.
No.
Don't disregard agents, don't disregard home inspectors, don't disregard attorneys,
Yeah.
don't disregard them. However, you fact check them. You say, okay,
Mhm.
well, the attorney says this, and I can jump on the old interwebs and double check
Yep.
and well, the MLS says this. I'm gonna just go over there, and I want to see it again anyways. So take my own measurements.
Yep.
Do your due diligence on your own. Advocate
Exactly.
for yourself. I
Yep.
mean, you go to the doctor, and I've used this analogy before, but you go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, sorry, ma'am, but that infection's severe. I think we need to amputate your arm. Is your next question, okay, how's Friday?
Yeah.
Or is it, okay, let me take a step back and digest this. And then you go home and you start Googling all the reasons why they told you that that's the thing, because you want to get second opinions and you want to advocate for
Yes.
yourself and you want to understand. You want to understand. You're not waiting to be spoon fed the information, because you're not always going to get that.
Mhm.
You're going to go out and get the information, find out for yourself, even if the answer comes back to, you got your arm amputated, but at least you go into that procedure knowing and understanding why
Right.
fully. Do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely, my friend. I do.
that's
So
our PSA for
yes.
today.
So everybody needs to be their own advocate when you're buying a house. And don't trust your agents either. Don't,
Or someone.
trust us, but do your own homework.
100%. I mean, I can safely say your YouTube channel is about educating the buyers. My YouTube channel is about educating sellers.
Yep.
Truly, truly, truly. Yes, we are, always put it out there that, we're happy to send referrals. And yes, we do get referral fees. It's common in the industry. Agent to agent referral fees every day
Yep.
happens, right? But the true motive, the true goal of our channels is to help people advocate for themselves, to help people, give people
Yep.
the information that they need, so that when they have these conversations,
Yep.
they are protected. Because worst case scenario, you're working with somebody that doesn't know or gives you false information. Now you're armed and you're educated, and you
Right.
have somebody says, hey, your only option is this, and you're like, I don't think so.
Mhm.
I don't think so. I think I have this and this option. And that's when they'll take a step back and go, oh. And a lot of professionals will, because it'd be like they're not expecting you to know the thing. And that's
Exactly.
my goal, is just
Yep.
piss off as many real estate agents as I possibly can. No, that's not true.
I know, Jen, we're gonna get a lot of hate, but it's okay.
I don't care.
I
That's
know.
a them problem, not a me problem.
Yeah, I don't care either.
I don't care, I don't care if I tick off real estate agents or attorneys, or hey, we're not violating anything.
No.
Violating
No.
any kind of code
We're not
ethics. We are just being transparent and
just
trying to help people.
we're just calling it like it is. Exactly, and
No,
trying to
it's
help
so that
people.
you,
Like,
watch our stuff
yeah,
and join our community. That's all we're asking. But anyways,
absolutely.
we're
Anyway, my
going
friend,
there.
that's all I had this week. And yeah. So it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. Well,
Yes.
that was great, Jackie. It's nice work. You always do a great job with these things. You know that?
I try.
It's a lot of work.
That is my goal.
Research and all
Yes.
this stuff. It's crazy. You do a good job, and it just never ceases to amaze me.
No, but I'm telling
How
you, there's
that
going to
can
be
be
a lot more.
so
There's going to be
days.
a lot more of this stuff. Wait till the agent commission stuff starts coming up. Oh, we're gonna.
As long as the dispensaries don't start showing up next to real estate agencies, we're good. That'll be all good. Hey, thanks for joining the show. And
Yes. Thank you.
everybody, just be nice. Advocate for yourself, but be nice to someone this week. And
Absolutely.
be kind and check in on your neighbor. What say you, Jackie Baker?
Everybody have a wonderful week, and yeah, be kind, and yes, especially be kind. Life's tough out there right now. Everybody be nice to each other.
Look both ways before you cross the street.
Yes.
100%. All right. Be good, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.